ever not had any Wi-Fi? What do? You play the classic Google Chrome Dino Jump game. Today we're going to recreate that game using MakeCode Arcade. So we're going to have a dinosaur running along and then jumping over the cactuses as they come along from the right. Each time you jump over a cactus, you get a point. If you bump into a cactus, it's game over. So on our website 123code.org, enter the project code U225 and click on Start Project, and this will bring you to the step-by-step instructions. Okay, so as we mentioned, this is just a little game where you have a dinosaur that jumps over the cactuses, the cacti, as they come in from the right. So it's an arcade project, so let's get started. So we're going to go to the MakeCode website, so open up a new tab, and then on the arcade website, if we click on the new project link, and we're going to call it Dino Jump, and this will create a new project for us. So the project editor is loaded and we've got a blank project. So let's jump back to our instructions. That's step number 1. So step number 2, we're going to create the main dinosaur sprite. So inside the onStart, we're going to drag a set dino to sprite block. So into sprites, we'll get a set sprite 2, and we're going to rename this to Dino, and then let's go in and draw our dinosaur. So choose some green, and I'm going to do a kind of T-Rex looking dinosaur, little arms, and then the mouth. Fill it in, maybe a yellow eye there somewhere. Let's do a mouth. And just clear out a little bit. There, it'll work. So step number 3, we're going to set up our dino at the start. So we've created our dinosaur as a sprite of kind player. Now we want our dinosaur to stay in the screen. So when we move left and right, we want it to stay within the boundaries of our screen. So we're going to add a set in screen to on, and we're going to start our dinosaur off at the position X16 and Y104. That's somewhere over here on the left, bottom left. And then finally, we're going to move our dinosaurs with the buttons, so up, down, left, right, but we're only going to give a speed value to the left and right, which is the velocity X. On the velocity Y, which is for up and down, we're going to put that as 0. So the up and down arrows on the keyboard won't move the dinosaur, just the left and right. So let's add these in. So stay on screen. Remember to change this to your dino. I'm going to say on. And then we're going to set the position of the dinosaur. We can use the little crosshairs for this. We'll just do it somewhere here on the left hand side, and then move with buttons. So I think that's in controller. Oh, if I click into a text box, that might fix that. So move with buttons. Again, change it to dino variable. Click the plus so you get the additional options. And what did we say? We're going to move at speed 30. So velocity 30 for Vx and 0 for Vy. So now when I press the left and right buttons, you can see it moves left and right, but if I hit up or down, it doesn't move. So next step, step number 4. This one we're going to create and set up 2 variables. So the first one is a jump variable, and this will store whether the dino is currently jumping or not. And then a cacti, which is the plural for a cactus. So cacti, and this will store all the cacti that we create, all the cactuses that we create, we're going to store in that variable. So let's create these. So variables, make a new variable jump, and make a new variable cacti. Oh, cacti. And we can see that they are being created here. So now that we've created them, we're going to set jump to false at the start. So on start, set jump to false. And we're going to set cacti to an array of sprites of kind projectile. So an array of sprites is like a list of sprites. So each time we create a cactus, so we're going to be creating a cactus or cacti here on the right, and they'll move across the screen. But each time we create them, we're going to add them to our cacti list, our cacti array, so we can keep track of where they are on the screen. So when we jump over them with the Dino, we know that we have done that. So let's do this. So set. So we can just bring this in, take this out. So set jump to false. That should be in logic. And duplicate. And we're going to set cacti to an array of sprites. Oh, we can actually just take this one in. It might be easier. So set cacti to an array of sprites of type projectile, because we're going to create cactuses, cacti, which are projectiles. On to the next step, which is to create the map and the background image. So just to make our game look a little bit better, we're going to add a kind of blue sky background with some clouds and some birds. And then we're going to just have a brown ground running along the bottom. And we're going to set that as a tile with wall so that our dino will stand on top of it, won't fall through it. So let's add these in. These are in scene. So let's do our background image first of all. Again, we're going to do sky blue. We'll add some clouds. Let's go a little bit bigger. So there's some clouds, and let's put in a few birds. So these don't affect the gameplay, they're just going to make our game look a little bit better. So now let's put in the map. Also bring in a tile with wall. So anywhere on the map where there's brown, we will just have a kind of brown, fill it in brown, but it's going to be a wall. So our dino shouldn't go through it. So we can see there our dino is on top of the ground, won't go through it, and can run along there. So on to the next step, step number 6. So we're going to make the dino jump when you press the A button. So this is where we're going to use our jump variable. So first of all, when you press the A button, we're going to check that the dino is hitting a wall at the bottom. So we're going to make sure it's touching, the bottom of the dino is touching the wall, because when the dino has jumped and is up in the air, we don't want the dino to be able to jump again and again and effectively fly. Only be allowed jump when you're touching the ground. So when you are touching the ground, then we're going to set jump to true, the jump variable. We're going to pause half a second, 500 milliseconds, and then we're going to set jump back to false. And then inside the forever block, we're going to check if jump is true. So we can just say if jump, so if true, then we're going to set the velocity y to -75, which will make the dino go up. And then else if jump is not equal to true, so if jump is false, then we're going to set the velocity y to 75, which makes the dino go downwards. So let's add these in. So controller on A button pressed. Just check. So we're going to do an if and hitting wall. So I'm not actually sure where that block is. So let's just type in hitting. So there we go. So it's probably in scene, just going on the color coding. So if dino is hitting wall, we're going to set, actually I can just duplicate this one here. Duplicate it twice. So set jump to true, and we're going to pause for 500 milliseconds, which is half a second. So that's the first group of blocks added. So now let's check if jump is true or not in the forever. So let's get our forever block, get an if then else. And we could, if you wanted, you could put in here if, you could do this, if jump is true. So we could do that if jump is true. But because jump is just either false or true, we can just say if jump, because that will be either equal to true or false. So if jump, so if true, then we're going to set the dino vy. So vy set. So set dino velocity y to -75, which will make it go up in the air. If you are jumping, else set it to 75, which will make it go down if you're not jumping. So let's try this out. So when we press the A button, it's not working. So let me refresh. Oh, I see the problem here. I have if is dino hitting wall left. So the left of the dino would need to be hitting a wall, which it isn't. So I need to correct this so it's bottom. Now when I hit A, you can see the dino jumps up. I can use left and right to move. And that's how we're going to control our dinosaur. Okay, on to the next step, step number 7. In this step, we're going to create the cactuses, the cacti, and make them move across the screen. So we're going to use the on-game update every certain amount of seconds, milliseconds, and this will fire whatever amount of milliseconds you put in here. So we're going to pick a random between 1000 and 4000 milliseconds. So between 1 and 4 seconds, every 1 and 4 seconds, this will fire. So we're going to create a cactus sprite, and we're going to create it as a kind of projectile. And we'll draw in our cactus there. We're going to start it in a particular position on the bottom right hand side of the screen, and then we're going to set the velocity for the x-axis, so left and right, and we're going to set it at -50, which will make it come across the screen from right to left. So let's do that first. So let's just clean up these a little bit. So on game update is in here in the game toolbox, and now we want to get a random. So between 1 second and 4 seconds. So every 1 and 4 seconds. So we're going to set cactus 2. So this is a new one. So set. Let's rename it to cactus. And of type projectile. And let's draw in our cactus. So I've already used green for the dinosaur, so I'm just going to use this kind of grey purple color for the cactus. There we go. So we're going to set the position x and y, and then the velocity x. So position x and y, so let's just put it in here. Let's see, what do we have for x? 149, 153, yeah, that's about right. And the vx, so the velocity, going left and right. And -50. Oh, I have to choose my correct variable. So now we can see them, the cactuses coming in from the right, being created and coming in. So we can also see they're a little bit too high, so I'm going to need to change my y value because this determines where they are up or down. So I need to go down. So let's go maybe 102. Let's see where they're created. No, down further, maybe 105. So we want them created right exactly on where the ground is. Okay, did I go too low there? Let's go 104. Yep, there we go. So we can see our dinosaurs is on the ground and the cactuses are being created on the ground and moving to the left. Okay, so next we're going to use our list called cacti. So we've already created a variable called cacti, and we set it to an array of sprites of kind projectile, and these are the cactuses that we're creating. So each time we create a cactus, we want to add it to our cacti array, our cacti list, because we're going to need to keep track of each one, the position on the screen that it is, because when our dinosaur jumps over a cactus, we're going to check the X position, so left and right position of the dino, and make sure it's past the cactus, and if it is, you'll get a point. So what we want to do is go into advanced arrays, and we are going to add a value to the end. So cacti, and we're going to add our cactus value to the end of that list. So each time a cactus is created again, it'll get added to our list. Okay, so now moving down to scoring a point. So to score a point, the dinosaur needs to jump over a cactus. So we're going to check the X position of the cactus, and we're going to see if that's equal to the X position of the dino. And if it is, you'll get a point. Otherwise, we're just going to destroy. So if the cactus, so the value of the X value of the cactus is less than 8, so if it reaches somewhere over here, we're just going to destroy that cactus because we don't need it on the screen anymore. Otherwise, they'll just collect here on the left like this. So let's create our function. So we're going to create this function called check cacti. We're going to add these blocks to it, and then we're going to use this custom check cacti block and put it inside the forever. So we're constantly checking the X position of them, whether we need to get a point or whether we need to destroy the cactus or not. So let's go into functions, make a function, and we're going to go check cacti. Do we pass anything into it? I don't think we do. No, we don't. If you want, in functions, you can pass different things in that you might use. So different values, text or a number or even a sprite that you might use within your function, but we're not doing that in this instance. So let's bring this down here and check our code. What do we need to add? So we need to do for each element value of cacti. So go through the cacti list and get each item that's in it, each value, which will be a sprite. So let's go into the loops to get that. So let's choose our cacti list, and we're going to say if, and we're going to compare the X of them. So let's get our if then in there. We'll get our equals to block in there. And now we need to get the X of the dino, and we'll duplicate this block, and we also need to get the X of the sprite that we're currently checking, the cactus sprite that we're currently checking. So if the X position of the cactus equals the X position of the dino, that means we've jumped over it and we should get a point. So into info and change score by 1. And then we're going to get another if. Actually, we'll just duplicate this. And actually, can we change this? Oh, we can. Okay. It's handy. So if the X position of the cactus is less than 8, so when it reaches somewhere over here, we want to destroy the sprite. So let's get a destroy block. And we're going to choose value. So again, we're using value as it's iterating through the list of cacti. So it's going through each cactus it has in its list, and it uses value for the current one that it's going through. So now the last step, now that we've added that in, is to get our check cacti block, call check cacti, and put that inside forever. So when they get over here, we can see that they are being destroyed, so that's working. So the next thing to check is when we jump over does our score go up, and you can see up the top right there that it is going up. So each time the dinosaur passes a cactus, you get a point. Now at the moment the dinosaur is able to just go run straight through the cactuses, the cacti, which we need to change. So if you go into a cactus, you're going to actually, it'll be game over. So we'll get to that now. So this is step number 9. So again, if the dino bumps into a cactus, it'll be game over, and we're going to add a little splatter effect. So game over, lose with a splatter effect, and we're going to destroy the dinosaur sprite as well with another little kind of halo effect. So we need to get on sprite of kind player, which is our dino, overlaps with another sprite of kind projectile, which is our cactuses. So back to our code, and in the sprites toolbox there's an overlap section. This is where you'll find the block. So on sprite of kind player overlaps other sprite of kind projectile, because remember we created cactuses as kind projectile, and we're going to destroy the dino sprite, so the sprite of kind player, and we'll do a halo effect for half a second, 500 milliseconds, and then we're going to do game over with a splatter effect. So into game over, click on the plus to get the extra options, and we'll get the splatter effect. So now when the dinosaur goes into a cactus, it's game over with that splatter effect. So that's the full game. If you have a game console, an arcade game console such as a BrainPad, you can download the game and send it onto your game console to actually play it. If you want it, you could add in some sounds or different effects at different points in the game if you want. There is one other bonus challenge in these steps, and that's to add a different type of cactus, so actually a larger cactus, to make the game a little bit more difficult. But this cactus, the large cactus, doesn't appear as frequently as the regular sized cactus. So 3 out of every 4, so 75%, it'll be the small regular cactus, and then 1 out of every 4 it should be the large one. So it's quite easy to do this. So we're just going to update the on-game update block. So what I'm going to do is pull these all out first of all and get an if then else, put them back in. So I'm going to put the bottom 3 blocks back in underneath the if then else. I'm going to duplicate my set cactus 2, so I've got 2 of them. And I'm going to go to math and get the percent chance block and change that to 75. So this is quite a handy block if you want kind of different random things to happen at a certain rate. You can use this block. So the last step is just to go in and do a larger cactus. So let's get this one all the way up to the top. We might do this as a 3-pronged cactus, make it look a little bit different as well. There we go. So we've got a regular sized cactus and a larger cactus. So let's actually start the game again and see. Oh, click on refresh. So there's our large cactus. Oh, jump straight into it. Let's go again, see if we can go a little bit better. Okay. So that's too large. So it won't be exactly every 1 in 4, but it should be there or thereabouts. So that's 3 regular, 4 regular, 5 regular, 6 regular, 7, 8. Surely there's a large one coming. Yep, there we go. So I hope you enjoyed that. It's quite a simple game, but once you learn the basics of games like this, so controlling a character, controlling a sprite, making it do different actions such as jump and move around, having different projectiles come at it, and then consequences if you bang into them, or if you jump over them you get a point. Once you learn those kind of basics of creating games, you should then be able to go on and create your own games, use your own imagination to come up with different games, add different elements into them. So I hope you enjoyed this video.